I mentioned that I had a couple of Easter eggs of my own.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to list them off real quick. So this is my favorite. And so reading the comics, the character for Huey, who as is pretty common, is like the stand-in for the viewer. He's kind of like not personally super impactful, but is involved in everything. Suffers a tremendous trauma at first to get him emotionally invested. All the devices that kind of draw a viewer in. The design for him in the comics was actually based on Simon Pegg, from something that he was in, like even before Shaun of the Dead, because the comics are written in like
Interesting.
yeah. And if you remember, Simon Pegg was in the show. He was Huey's dad. In the
Yeah, that's right. He was.
And so I like that they involved him. Simon Pegg's a huge fan of the comics. And even in the episode that I just saw, like towards the end of season 1, he says "jings," which is apparently a Scottish thing. I don't know what it means, but like Garth Ennis, I'm pretty sure is Scottish, and in the comics, Huey is Scottish.
Anyone knows? Comment and let us know what it is.
Yeah. Jings, Jings.
There you go, guys. Let us know what that means.
Yeah, cute little tidbit. Another one. There's an episode.
Continue. I'm gonna check on my soup, which I'm cooking actually.
Yeah, I'll keep listing these off.
Actually, no, I can turn. You can. Boom. What's up? PPC in the kitchen.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So in another episode of season 1, when they find Kimiko in that basement and she escapes, they're trying to find her, and Butcher refers to her as the female, and the episode is titled "The Female of the Species." And in the comic, she's not called Kimiko. She, like her nickname as part of the team is the female. So I think that was a cute little nod there.
Okay, yeah.
Another one. This one was pretty obvious, but it was easy to miss because it was literally the first thing you saw in the entire series, and I don't think they show it again. Like season 1, episode 1, right after the Amazon Prime show at the beginning, the very next thing you see is like that collage of comic stills. They kind of pan all over the image, and then they form, like that. Those are all from the comics, and that's obviously an allusion to the MCU. But the images they show are from the actual comics. You can recognize them. Homelander looks almost exactly like the way he does.
Oh, speaking of Homelander.
Yeah.
Don't you have something fun to tell us about Homelander? Let me turn, now that I've set my soup. I'm ready for this because I've been waiting for this conversation about Homelander. So
yeah,
let me. I'm ready. I'm ready.
It's taken the entirety of the series, honestly, because there's so much to piece together about Homelander, especially because it starts out. He's basically supposed to represent what everybody thinks America is. Clean cut, always doing good, all around the world, just wants to do the right thing. And then you kind of start to learn dirty shit about him as the season goes on. But I think the commentary really ramps up once he and Stormfront cross paths. Now in the comics, Stormfront is just a straight up Nazi. And I love the way that Stormfront is introduced in the show because it really eases you into it. There's no big reveal. She doesn't come and crash in just and do something out of the blue. She appears and she's kind of in the background and just saying some stuff and just being cool. And
she's almost like being the Michelangelo, if you're a Ninja Turtles fan, when she first shows up. Joey is frozen right now for some reason, but it's cool. So Stormfront, I actually have a lot of thoughts. Hey, he's back. Hey, so you froze for a while there, bud.
Okay.
You dropped off when you were talking about Stormfront initially comes in and she's kind of just there and she says a couple things. I was commenting that she reminded me, I was like, oh, she's going to be like a Michelangelo, like if you know the Ninja Turtles. Oh, she's going to be like a Michelangelo, being a smart aleck in the background, Ha, 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 ha. Continue.
that's the point. She's supposed to make like not a big impression, just give off the the vibe that, oh, it'd be cool to hang out with her and stuff, because
Yeah,
everybody knows somebody like that, that's like, oh, I say what I speak my mind.
I
I say,
see.
yeah, like I'm not PC, and then they post shit like, like some like a picture of, Cillian Murphy's character from Peaky
She's that
Blinders.
like bisexual friend that everyone
Yeah,
has.
and like an unrelated quote over the, Cillian Murphy's Peaky Blinders character, and yeah, and then and but then you kind of dive deeper into who that person is, and you realize that that front is an act, like, and you scroll down, it's like, oh, oops, all N words, and then
Yeah. Oh my God,
and then
dude.
there's the all lives matter posts and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and that's the kind of pace that you get into revealing who she is. Like, they go to that when they're chasing Kimiko's brother, and they go to that apartment building, and she doesn't really do anything until she sees black people, and then suddenly, yeah, she's like slamming them against walls and stuff and blowing the whole building to hell. And she literally calls Kimiko's brother the yellow bastard or something like that.
Okay, so when that happened, I was eating my lunch and I was like, what? Maybe I misheard. I legit paused, rewind, turned it up, and was like, oh, no. She said she called him yellow and she didn't mean coward. Got it.
Yeah, it wasn't a cowboy thing. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was not a cowboy thing. I had to double check.
So yeah, so then later on, the information about her kind of trickles out. It turns out that she used to be
Liberty.
hero named Liberty, who was basically going around like lynching black people in like the 60s and stuff. Um, and then she kind of secretly rebranded. And then the newest reveal in the newest episode, spoiler alert, is that she was literally the first superhero to be produced using Compound V, which is a steroid that they use to create superheroes. And she was like a Nazi and kind of bred for this, and then exported to the United States. A lot of that overlaps with the actual Stormfront from the comics, kind of backstory. But the reason that her reveal is so great is that it really it parlays how kind of the radicalization process of white supremacists works in the United States, where the kind of cool factor is the front facing aspect of it, and then you get exposed to some of those more extreme ideas, because Homelander only has like kind of regular mainstream, somewhat racist view of the American public. Like he'll say like kind of problematic stuff in the first season, but he doesn't really, like, you couldn't get him to buy into like,
no, because Homelander.
What you might call
Homelander's not racist. Homelander hates everyone equally. He only gives a fuck about himself. He's an equal opportunity fucking hater.
And this might be a coincidence, and it might not, but Stormfront is the name of one of the more prolific like white supremacist websites that I think might have gotten shut down.
I don't feel like that's definitely not. There's no way that's a coincidence.
I don't know. Well, the Stormfront,
no fucking way.
A Nazi. I don't know when the website was established and when the comics were written.
But damn, that would be one hell of a fucking coincidence. Like,
yeah, but it's that way that like you package these extreme ideas and you present them in such an amenable way to someone who's kind of, nonplussed about that kind of stuff, and they just accept it. And I think her being a woman is especially significant, because white supremacy is such a...
Before we move on from the white supremacy and the Nazi thing, I need to bring up that and maybe, you were talking about that every president influences the pop culture texts that surge when they're in power or whatever. And so since Trump has been in power, there kind of has been, not that there ever wasn't an interest in it, but the Nazi thing has been coming back up in pop culture texts a lot. We had it with Taika Jojo Rabbit, which we talked about.
Yeah.
I love Jojo Rabbit. It was huge there. They talk about it in Cult, American Horror Story Cult. Hunters, that a Prime show. Hunters, Al Pacino, right? I've seen the show. It's amazing. It's great. The commentary is obviously not subtle, and it's very much in line with what The Boys is doing, 2 Prime shows. I'm just saying, this Nazi thing is they're bringing this back up. They're trying to be like, hey, you remember, right? You guys remember? Like, it's not subtle, bro.
Yeah. And I think the reason that, so the Homelander Stormfront kind of package, it reads to me like how the alt-right radicalization occurs, where you package these extreme ideas and you present them really innocently to people who are more
let's look up the episode. She's when they're talking to the crowd, she's like, we're the only people I can think of that get persecuted for defending their own. Like, they basically spin. Let me see if I can find the episode.
Yeah, and the thing is, she literally never says white people in that.
No, not at all. She never does. No, she doesn't.
About superheroes or Western culture, which is the actual like language that is used in the real world about that stuff. But then you present it to these people like Homelander, who are, who think of themselves as talented, but they're actually like alienated from society. They have no significant like emotional attachment. They're really susceptible to that. And as I was about to mention, her being a woman is especially significant because she talks about having a daughter way back, right?
Yes.
And then she is like obsessed with her. Like, she notices some baby in like the rally and just fixates on it, right?
Yes.
And Homelander is there, and he also has a weird thing about having a son when it's revealed that Butcher's wife that he raped gave birth to, and the first thing he asked if it was a boy.
Yeah.
So and like the continuation of the white race is a big thing with these people, and there's so many snippets about like the white supremacist culture.
Yes, absolutely.
Keep coming through, and the fact that Stormfront more than anyone is obsessed with the idea of having children, not only accentuates the whole like preserve a future for white kids is part of like this motto that they have. It's called the 14 words. I'm not going to say it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I also don't have it memorized. Just
great, yeah. Let's say we did it. We didn't, except not at all. Fuck that.
But that's also supposed to highlight the fact that women are also secondary in this ideology. That it's not only white supremacist, it's also male centered.
Well, that's evident in the way that Stormfront.
They have that little subplot where they show the guy that he's a young guy.
Before you move on what you just said, it's evident in the way that Stormfront knows that she needs to handle Homelander. She knows that she needs to act like she is secondary in order for him to fucking pay attention to her or listen to her. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because she knows that she couldn't advance that entire thing on her own. She needs to co-opt.
And she knows what she has to do to get him to to go along. Did you want to show the part in the rally where they're doing that whole rewrapping of ideas?
Yeah, go for it.
Hopefully this is the right one. I think this is it. Let's find out. We're gonna find out.
And while you're setting that up, like the little subplot they have of the young guy who he goes to like the same like corner shop 7-Eleven thing every day, and he sees the same guy who looks like he might be like, I don't know, Bangladeshi or something like that.
And
but it shows him like in a routine. Like, he wakes up, he lives with his mom, and and then he just does the same thing every day. And he's always got the TV on, and it's supposed to be, the analog of Fox News, like Tucker Carlson types. They just are just saying the same extremist stuff in a seemingly acceptable way every second of every day. Yes. And that's what he absorbs. And after a while, he comes to see this man who's nothing but nice to him, and he questions not just his citizenship, but his humanity, and he just straight up murders him.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to reflect, the radicalization of the young, disaffected male who, suffering from late capitalism, doesn't seem to have anything to look forward to. So he latches on to what he feels is the only way that he can, exercise agency and project power in a
It,
society that he
it,
doesn't feel like he has any influence in.
it reminded me very much of like incel culture.
Yeah, no, yeah, that too. And
They,
and that's again why, like, the whole of Homelander and Stormfront fucking all the time. It's also, it reflects how, like, Homelander is the apex of what these guys aspire to be,
yeah,
and how they do what they do, largely influenced just to, just to get laid.
yeah.
One thing I noticed, Stormfront has like black and white flags, like grayscale flags on both her arms. And if I'm not mistaken, the one on her right is backwards the way it would be on a military uniform, which I think is another thing, because the relentless, like, critique of the military industrial complex is like, it's constant in this one. It's probably the most significant critique of the comics for sure. But regarding a specifically white supremacist character, I think it's probably a bit more pointed, considering the whole, like, military, like, jingoistic angle of not just her but especially Homelander.
Yeah. Yes. So, final thoughts, other pressing things.
Well, to end on a lighter note, I think the casting for this show, I think, is absolutely perfect. So Anthony Starr is a revelation as Homelander. I think everybody agrees with that. He's been in, like, bit parts for a while.
So what I was expecting you to talk about earlier was the fact that he's not American. Can you please go into that?
Yeah, and just based on this role, I never would have guessed that he wasn't.
I didn't know. No.
And if anybody like casts doubt in my mind, say, okay, well, maybe he's Canadian, like
Sure.
like Ryan Reynolds and Seth Rogen, who can,
Sure.
most would assume that he was American, but like,
yeah.
No, he's from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Which is a region of the world that has a very distinct accent.
Yeah.
And so he's from the same part of the world that Carl Urban is from, who plays Butcher. So
yeah.
two of the most significant characters in the show, both from New Zealand. Obviously, Carl Urban, I don't think changes his accent much, if at all.
Yeah.
And he plays the role great. I think if you read the comics, he has a very significant kind of, like, quiet rage aspect about him, where he doesn't act outwardly aggressively in the show. I think it's kind of turned up a little bit, but I think the moment that I knew that he was perfect for the role, in the first season, they have that A-Train's racing that other guy, Shockwave, and they're in that big racetrack, and Homelander's just kind of looking out over the crowd, and he sees Butcher. He's the only one facing him rather than the track. And he's got this, like, this smirk on his face, and he keeps zooming in. And, like, I looking after reading the comics, looking at that, absolutely perfect, nailed it. Looks a little different, beard and everything, but
whatever.
I knew that was the best.
I haven't read the comics, but the character of Billy, and this is no shocker, he is such a dreamboat. Like, are you kidding? Are you, like, if nothing else, ladies, eye candy in the fucking show. His whole attitude, his whole swagger, his whole everything. Oh my God. Out of everyone in this show, he's the one you're going to want to bang the most. If you're anything like me, that's the one you're going to want to bang the most. And followed closely by Frenchie, actually. Very close. Very, very close. But Billy, though, oh, yum. Just yum. Yum. He's so yum. They chose him perfectly. It's great that they were able to fulfill the character, be loyal to what it is in the comics, and find someone that's yummy to also fulfill that fucking requirement, right? Because you need to get as many demographics as you can. And I mean, hey.
Yeah. No disagreements.